So can you tell me what your first name is and your middle name and your last name? What's your full name?
Mary Aurora Barcellos.
And were you named after anyone, Mary?
Not that I know of.
And what's your full birth name?
My full birth name is Bridgett Marie Barcellos. And I was named after Saint Bridget of Sweden.
Do you know what it was, the significance of Saint Bridget of Sweden? That
I'm pretty sure that she was. It was a promesa that my mom made that if I was conceived and it was a girl, that I would be named Bridget after her. So I don't remember quite what her, like, maybe was she a patron saint of something? I don't recall right now on the spotlight, but do you remember? I'm sure you've heard the story too.
I have, but I can't remember it right offhand either.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we've learned during the course of the interviews is the significant role that the Catholic Church plays in the Portuguese community.
Oh, very big, very
Can you
big.
explain a little bit about that?
Well, I don't know how it started, because in my family came from the Azores, and I know the Moors at one time ran the place, ran the nation, but I don't think they were Catholic, so I don't know who started it, brought it into
the festas.
Well, the festas and just the role of the church in general.
Yeah.
Many people who we've interviewed have said that they can't imagine being Portuguese or Azorean and not being Catholic.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's very true. I am very surprised when I meet somebody that isn't. It's not the way it should be that I've had all my life and been around. And
well, we're going to talk more about the festas and Portuguese traditions, but first of all, let's get a little history. So, Mary, were you born in the United States?
Yes, I was born in Artesia, California. That's
So-
down south.
So, were your parents then from the Azores?
Both of them came from the Azores.
And both came from the same island?
Yes, to Sarah.
And do you know why they came to the United States?
Well, I know my father probably came to get a better life. He came alone. He was single at the time, and my mother had lost both parents, and she had a sister here already, and she came to be with her.
And you were born in Artesia?
Yes.
Okay, so are there any dairies down in Artesia?
Oh, there were a lot of dairies, and then they started moving out because of to bring in more buildings, homes. They moved out to Chino, and so, yeah, and then from there they came up here.
So is that the business then that your father was in?
My father had a dairy, yes, and he sold it shortly before I was married. A month later, he bought it back. He could not live without his cows.
So how about your siblings? Did you have brothers and sisters?
I had 3 brothers and a sister. The youngest brother is my twin.
And did the brothers work on the dairy as
They
well?
all worked on the dairy.
Yeah. So can you tell me what the dairy life is like? It seems like it's difficult for those of us. Well, I was going to say for those of us who don't do it, but for those who do it, I imagine it's really difficult.
Well, for the men, yes, when it's winter time and they have to go get the cows in, that's not very, you have to go through a lot of slosh. Apparently now the cows do know the way to get in, but for a wife, I don't know. I wouldn't want any other life.
What is it about it that's so appealing to you about that life?
Well, I like to live out in the country, wide open spaces, got my family around me,
Yeah.
and that's the best.
So let's talk about the fact that you were first generation American.
Mm-hmm.
Did you grow up speaking Portuguese then?
Yes.
And
Not real well, but I did because my mother spoke English very well. My father did some, but he had a little more trouble. So with him, we always spoke in Portuguese. With my mom, it was English.
Did your parents ever talk about life on the island? Did they miss it?
Not really. Me being on the younger side, maybe the older ones knew more, but no, not
Yeah,
that I
because you're the
recall.
baby.
Yes.
At 90. She's the baby right now.
That's fantastic. So now, your father spoke Portuguese. You spoke Portuguese with your father.
Yes.
What other traditions did your parents want to maintain, Azorean traditions, when you were growing up?
Well, we were Catholics. We went to Catholic church, Catholic school, and kept up the celebrations. We always looked forward to that because that was the big thing, you know. And we had one in Hines, which later they changed the name to Paramount, and then the Artesia stayed the same, and there was a celebration there at different times. So that was our big entertainment, was waiting for that. We get new clothes and got to have fun at the celebration with then seeing a lot of people that we would see just now and then.
I didn't realize that there was such a dynamic Portuguese community in
Oh,
Southern California.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So did you ever sense that your parents kind of experienced a difficult time in the United States, or was it a pretty easy process since there was already a community down there?
I myself, I never noticed it. No, there was, you know, plenty of Portuguese people around, and that was our social life.
So tell me again when you moved from Artesia up here to where we are currently.
I came up here in January the 7th of 1950. Well, after that, that's when I got married, and I came up here on January 19th, moved into this house, which my husband helped build. After he would milk cows, and he'd come, after milking, he'd come and help the carpenters.
So he's a valley boy.
Well, he was born in the Azores.
Okay.
But he was always raised in the valley, yes. They came here when he was 3 years old.
So where did you meet?
At the celebration in Artesia.
No wonder you liked those celebrations.
That's right. That's something to look forward to, because that's where a lot of the couples have met, is at the celebration. In fact, when I first saw him, he and his brother were all dressed up in suits and all, you know, they looked like they're from the big city. And I thought, oh. And my girlfriend wanted me to meet him. And I said, well, I think he's out of my league. He looks like he's from the big city. Only later did I find out, no, he came from a dairy too.
That's fantastic. So you moved up here to Porterville. How many children did you have?
4.
And boys, girls?
3 boys and 1 girl.
3 boys and 1 girl. And did they all get into the dairy business as well?
No, my oldest son is a college professor. He teaches calculus. My daughter taught sign language, had a sign language pupil that she was with until they graduated, and then she'd start with another one. And my other son has a auto parts business. And see, who am I missing? Well, you know Tom.
So it must give you a lot of satisfaction and deep joy to you're still living in the house that your husband built.
That's right.
So how many years has it been now?
72.
72 years. And you have a son who took over the dairy business?
Yes, he took over. Lives right next door. Moved into Grandma and Grandpa's house, and you can't ask for better neighbors.
So now, tell me this, Bridgett. So you have grown up with your grandmother all your life.
Yep.
What has that been like for you? That's not something that happens very often.
Well, I don't think of it that way because that's how I've grown up, and that's actually how our kids are growing up, right next door or just down, walking distance from grandma and great-grandparents. So it doesn't seem, that just seems like normal to me. When I talk to other people and they're like, oh, you live next door to your grandma? Like, it's great, yeah. So, but we used to get off the bus here. I used to run away to my Vava's house in my pajamas when I was little. So being next door when I wasn't home, I was right next door at Vava and Vuvu's house.
So let's talk a little bit about Portuguese identity. So, what has that meant for you growing up?
Everybody knows I'm Portuguese, and then when you fill out the ethnicity thing, it's like, oh, I'm not any of those, I'm other. So I do mark other just so that, I get to write that I'm Portuguese because I'm full-blooded Portuguese American, born here. And that now I have 5 kids, so they're mostly Portuguese. And I kind of always joke that, well, I couldn't marry a Portuguese boy because they were probably all related. So I had to marry outside, I guess. But so we have 5 children now, and they all mark that they're mostly Portuguese also.
So your grandmother talked about traditions such as the celebrations. Did celebrations play a big role in your life as well growing up?
Well, my first celebration, I was only 2 years old. So, and then I was in a celebration all the way up until the time that I was little queen. So, which is part of one of the Portuguese celebration traditions where they have a senior queen and a junior queen. And when I was in the 3rd grade, I got to be junior queen for Tipton, which is our hometown community. And where we've always gone to church with St. John's Catholic Church. And then there's it's the SPDS Tipton Hall, which the SPDS means something in Portuguese. It's like spirit, I don't even know. I can't even say it right now. Think of it. But so each town kind of has one. Each Portuguese community has a group, and they all have their own celebrations. So it was really exciting to be in the Portuguese, to be the junior queen, because then you got to represent Tipton in all the different other festas that you got to go to up and down California. So, and it's not just here in the San Joaquin Valley. There's all the way from Monterey down to, Artesia and Chino, and all the way up San Jose, and I'm sure even farther than that.
So would it be fair to say that being a little queen or a queen is something that, a little...
It's definitely an honor and
aspires to be?
Yeah, I would definitely say that for sure. Because then you can also be junior queen, and that's even like, you're almost an adult at that point. But being just the junior queen was really exciting for me. And then I had my sister and my cousin as attendants. And actually, my daughter always talked about, well, when do I get to be little queen? When do I get to be little queen? And she's actually going to be little queen this next summer. So she is the incoming queen. And my sister's cousin, or my sister's daughter, and my cousin's daughter that were my attendants, their daughters are now her attendants. So it's the whole next generation, which is very exciting. And they are thrilled. They're just like, we get to do it now,
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Mary, tell me, what is the significance of the festas?
Well, I guess it's to honor the Blessed Mother, because that's the way I always thought of it.
I know that there's some other significance. Queen Elizabeth made a promise to the Holy Spirit that she would feed the poor, because she used to feed the poor, but her husband didn't really agree with it, or maybe it was her husband and her son, they were in a feud or something like that, and they were going to come to war. Well, if that didn't happen and nobody died, then she made a promise to the Holy Spirit that she would continue to feed people. And that is like, it's in honor of the Holy Spirit and that promise. So at every celebration, you eat for free. They feed the entire community. And sopes, which is, I guess in English, it would just be a beef and cabbage stew.
I think that's the way you would look at it. Delicious.
Yeah, well, we love it, and something you look forward to. And then you have a hard French bread that you pour it over, and then makes a sopa.
So it sounds like there's kind of a procedure then to do it right.
Oh, definitely.
That's correct.
So it's easy to tell who isn't like the real deal.
Right.
Based on
Well, and I think there's like from different areas in the Azores, or different places have their own kind of recipe of the sopes. So each community has a little different flavor.
Yeah, they may vary a little bit, but on the whole, they're pretty much the same.
I've never had a bad one yet.
Your beef, your cabbage, and
Yeah.
yes.
So Mary, at 92 years old, I'm sure you've seen a lot of festas.
Oh, yes.
Have you noticed, have they changed at all over the decades, or are they pretty much the same?
Well, I think they're pretty much the same. I loved it when we used to have the bands from the different schools participate in the parades. Oh, they added a lot to it. But then they got to the point where you have to separate church and state, which I thought was rather silly, because this is a family gathering and for the community. You know, anybody's, you know, can come in and have lunch there. They're all welcome. And so I thought that was a little strange, but things happen. We know how it is. Things change. And we have to go along with it.
So would you say that the enthusiasm for the festas, though, is still as high as it was when you were younger?
Well, maybe the younger generation probably not as much, because there's so much other things that they can do. You know, they go to the beach, all these all these games, all this, you know, there's so many things that would take them away from there. And so I hate to see that happen, that they won't come anymore, because it's terrific to gather the people in that area together.
So was it important to you to raise your own children with a strong sense of Portuguese identity?
Definitely, yes.
Why? Why, Mary?
Because I think we had good ethics, you know, honest, hardworking people, and if you needed help, they were there to help. And anytime anybody needed something, or something happened to them and they were behind, somebody died or was sick or hurt, all the farmers would get in there and help them. That was traditional. You help each other.
And do you think that has been maintained? Or do you think things have changed?
I think some of it probably, there's some that's not as much anymore, have that feeling of camaraderie. I don't know. But that's the way a community should be, there to help each other when you need it.
So in addition to that kind of morality, that kind of ethic, were there any other like things that you did with your kids that were Portuguese traditions? Like, did you want them to learn the language? Did you try?
Oh yes, definitely. Like tell them to learn you know, if you learn one extra language, it makes it easier to learn more languages. There's always something that is familiar into the, you know, you can use in the other language. And I think that's great. The more languages you know, you learn, the better.
So what specifically about the Portuguese language, though, did you want to make sure that they were learning that? Was it the tie to the community?
Well, most to get along with the grandparents.
I was going to say, talk to their grandparents.
You know, but I think it's a good tradition for any nationality to teach their children the language. It's good to know more than one.
Yeah, you know, some people, and this is always an interesting conversation, you know, they say, this is America. You know, we are the melting pot. You should become American and not necessarily hold on to those, you know, things that make us unique, those ethnic traditions. How do you respond to that?
No, I think we should keep up with traditions because they are good traditions. And I think I don't care what nationality you are, you should keep them up. But we are American, we speak the language, we should learn the language. I understand that because I've seen that, you know, where people are here a long time and never learn the language. You should, it's a good idea. But keep your traditions. Wow. And I think that's good. I don't, and you know, well, like I said, all languages should. All. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Bridgett, now tell us about your kids. Has it been important to you to maintain that sense of identity and tradition?
Definitely a little more challenging since my husband doesn't speak Portuguese, but I do speak Portuguese pretty fluently, I think. And our kids actually did when they were little. I don't know why I talk to all babies in Portuguese, no matter what ethnic background they are. I just start talking to them in Portuguese. So I do that. And when our kids were little, they understood everything we said in Portuguese. And then my other grandma, my avó Pierce, she doesn't speak any English still. She understands quite a bit and she'll speak it when she needs to, but it's definitely easier for her and more comfortable for her to speak Portuguese. So that was kind of one big reason why I still kept Portuguese. And then talking to my kids in Portuguese, they were able to understand what she was saying. And my mom would talk to them in Portuguese when they were little. And actually, Brian, he wishes that he could still remember more Portuguese. So every once in a while at home, he'll be like, Mom, how do you say this in Portuguese? And Mackenzie, she's so funny. She's still only 9, so she picks up on stuff and she'll be like, she'll just blurt it out and she's like, did I say that right? I was like, yes, you did a good job, sweetie. So it's been important just because I think they need to keep that tradition, and that's part of our heritage. We are still all American, so that's our common thread here in the United States, where we are American here, and that's what brings us together and makes us all united, but not to forget where you came from either.
So why is it important to not forget where you came from, and what specifically is it about the Azores that makes it worth remembering?
Well, I never got to go there, but I really want to go there, and my kids really want to go. So hopefully in the next few years we'll be able to, all go as a family. But it's just part of who you are. It's where you came from. It's what makes you just a little different, and just, I don't know, you still have that tie, even though I didn't ever get to go to the Azores, but I am still full-blooded Portuguese, and that's still part of who I am. So the food, my kids love all the food, the Portuguese food. We just had a tea party and I made cajadas, and we added some little Portuguese flares to that, and massas fada, and that kind of stuff. And I've made sweetbread with my grandmother. She makes really good sweetbread, my avó Pierce. And so she taught me how to do that. And then Vava Barcellos has taught me how to make other recipes, like her potato salad, and Visa used to make the stuffing. So my mom has learned how to do that, and I have watched her do that. So just keeping those traditions and going, who used to make this is like your great-great-grandmother, just kind of, it's history. And you don't want to forget history, and you don't want to change it, but you also want to remember it and learn from it too.
So, Mary, have you been to the Azores?
No, I've never been there.
Do you want to go, or?
I'm not much for traveling. My husband tells everybody, Mary will go anywhere in the world as long as she's home at night. So that's not very conducive to going on trips.
So I'm going to ask you a question now about your relationship with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, Bridgett, what is it like being so close to your grandparents? How do you think that has defined you as a person?
Oh, I think it definitely has increased family values, being close to my grandparents and my parents, and now my kids are experiencing and had both of my grandparents, which they're great grandparents here up until last year. They didn't know anything different, and they were like, oh, those are my great grandparents, vis-a-vis and vis-a-vu, and they just loved coming here and visiting and helping, or family gatherings, Christmas and all the holidays. We still got together for every holiday, and we still celebrate birthdays together, and just, I like the family values and the family closeness, and we see each other at least every week, a couple times a week, and lunch in the middle of the week a lot of times, and church Sunday morning, and then we actually have breakfast all together on Sunday. So
how many people is that then? All of you having breakfast?
So my family is 7, and then my sister comes, and that's 4, and then my parents and anybody else that is welcome to join us. So there's at least 13. There's at least 13 every Sunday.
And where do you eat?
Well, we used to eat out, but that gets quite expensive. So, and then with COVID and everything that happened, a lot of the restaurants were closing and, available for takeout. So we actually do that at our house now. And my husband's an awesome cook. So he cooks, and we all cook kind of together, and then we all eat together and hang out. And it's a very nice Sunday. It's just very family.
That sounds fantastic.
It's terrific. I enjoy it very much going over there. I never got to meet any grandparents. They died in the old country. And so when I got to have my son and daughter-in-law move in next door, and I got to see the girls go off to school, look out at the kitchen window, here comes the bus, there goes the girls.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that was just awesome. I love that.
Well, and now my kids also have the opportunity. They get off the bus at Vava's or Visa Vaz next door, and they love it. They're like, I'm going to go to Visa Vaz, and okay, don't forget to feed the cows. We have show heifers next door, so I know Vavu always loved looking outside and seeing the show heifers, and they would come and sit with us when we were washing animals, and yeah, it was fun. So I don't know life any different. I couldn't imagine it any different.
And Bridget's kids come over. Yesterday, Frank mowed my lawn. Zachary did some edging. I haven't gone out and looked to see the job, but they're usually pretty good. Anything I need, they're here. I can count on all of them.
So, Mary, when you look back on your life, what brings you, and I think I know the answer, but what brings you the greatest joy?
My family. Can't be better. I have a very good family, and I have been blessed. So I cannot complain. I know there's families that do complain their children go awry. No. Wonderful kids, wonderful grandkids, wonderful great-grandkids.
Did you think when you moved into this house 72 years or 71 years ago that you would be sitting here today with these?
No, not to reach my age. I never thought I'd get this old. But things are different nowadays. People are living longer and longer.
So what do you think brought you to this point? Was it good living out in the country near the heifers?
I love living out in the country, and I love the mooing doesn't bother me in the bed. No.
So the last two questions that I wanted to ask, because this is the Portuguese Oral History Project, is going to go back to Portuguese things. And the first one will be this. What does being Portuguese mean to you, Mary?
I think it means being a good citizen, helpful, and love your family. Which is so very important. Yes.
And Bridgett?
I think the same, and like I said, I didn't get to go back to the Azores, but my mom and dad have been, and they just, it's just that family values and like working together in a family business and just making that grow and making sure that that's there for the next generation.
Do you think, have any of your children kind of expressed an interest? Do you see them?
Oh yeah, yes. So we have 5 of them, and we have 4 boys and a girl. The oldest is 17, Caden's 17, Brian is 16, Zachary is 14, and Frank is 12, and then Mackenzie is 9. But they have all already said that, what else would we do? Like, that was like a no-brainer. Caden already wants to, he's already farming and on a tractor whenever he's needed, and even when he's not needed, he's like, well, what can I do? How come I can't do that? Or, and Brian, actually this past 2 weeks ago, the 3 older boys were all on tractors prepping and planting a cornfield. Frank got to go right out there. There wasn't another tractor available, but if there was, I'm sure he would have been on it, because he was like, well, how come they get to do it and I didn't get picked? I was like, well, they're the older ones right now. But Mackenzie, she said, well, I could help in the office. And she goes, I actually am going to be a vet, Mom. So I want to take care of the cows and cats and dogs. I was like, okay. So she's 9, but they all have talked about different roles that they could do in our farm and dairy business that they're super excited about. And as long as they all remember to get along, then they can make that work. There's plenty.
So how does that make you feel, seeing that level of enthusiasm and knowing that the business is going to?
Oh, I'm ecstatic. I love it. Yeah, because I know that's what my parents want, and that's what my grandparents. They're thrilled watching them do that, and just
definitely.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, they've been driving since they were like 3, 4, 5 years old, on lawnmowers and riding lawnmowers, and I'd be pregnant and my little one's, steering while I do the pedals because he can't reach. And I think back, I'm like, what was I thinking? But I mean, Caden and Brian are already driving, and they're decent drivers. They're good drivers because they've been doing it forever. In fact, the DMV lady or the driver's training lady, she goes, "Oh, you live out in the country. There's no problem with your kids. Doesn't make them nervous at all. They're more comfortable when they're sitting in the car next to them."
They know that they're good drivers because they've been driving just about all their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good because they're very good help around the ranch. There's so many things that you can get them interested in, and they're learning and they're helping, and it's wonderful to have all the family together.
Yep, they've talked about going to a diesel mechanic school, and one wants to go to Fresno State actually and be in the animal science department because that's my alma mater also. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Was there anything that I didn't touch on that you guys would like to share?
I don't know.
I think we touched on all of it. I've got a wonderful family, wonderful neighbors, my Philomen and Tommy. I mean, her just down the road. I couldn't
half
ask
a
for
mile.
better. I
Excellent.
mean, if I need something, they're here for me. They always have been.